All right, the lasso of truth is around us.
I'm a spy! Chris Pine was definitely the best part of this movie. All the initial reviews about that were right. All the men were the best part of this movie, except for the villain. That's the uncomfortable thing about Wonder Woman. She kind of sucks. Also, this movie gives no shit about her canon or her story. There is no actual Diana Prince. She's not a war nurse. She doesn't become part of the Department of Metahuman Affairs. She doesn't lose her powers or run her own mod boutique. Whatever. Diana Prince is not a character at all. Also, Wonder Woman does not fight for America. She fights for Europe and then lives in France. That's the starting point.
So we weren't really fond of this movie, which is unpopular opinion. So like, if you want to,
clearly we're wrong because we're in the minority.
Clearly, like if you
we know we're wrong.
Yeah, if you want to hear positive reviews about this movie, like literally go anywhere else.
Pretty much, yeah. Although, dude, who the fuck is saying this shit about best movie since The Dark Knight? Even if you like this movie, shut the fuck up. No.
I mean, like, I can see where some people might argue on the DC side, but we had fucking Lego Batman and Logan this year. Both of those movies are tremendously better.
Yeah, but we also had the animated Wonder Woman movie since The Dark Knight. So no. Also, animated Wonder Woman movie is still way better than this. Even though it probably had less animation than this movie. Okay, maybe there was something wrong with our theater. I highly doubt it. But, especially since we were in, like, one of the nicer screens in that theater, the special effects look like crap.
They look like 2004 good.
Yeah, like, there's a shot where they're coming into London, and it looks exactly like the scene where they're coming into London in Sweeney Todd. But it looks a lot worse than that. And Sweeney Todd looked pretty bad, green screen wise.
It also had 2004 movie pacing, which was weird too.
Yeah, and characterization, and like, we just blow shit. Also, are we seriously letting this shit slide? With, oh my god, this movie is so phenomenally silly, and not in like a cute way. In a like, Wonder Woman crosses her wrists, and a 12-year-old learning to do Photoshop draws little squiggles coming out of her wrists, and that's supposed to deflect Sauron / Voldemort / Emperor Palpatine's lightning bolts. An adult movie theater going audience is supposed to take this seriously.
I mean, I would
say... This is a 5-star movie. This is the best thing that we've seen from the DCU since The Dark Knight. Really? Really? Are you sure about that?
From my own personal opinion, even though the DCU movies, for the most part, are horrible, almost every single other movie had at least something redeeming in its visuals, in its action.
Like something, a shot, a set piece, something.
Suicide Squad was definitely a lot less of that. I think probably the best thing in that movie was Killer Croc saying that he was beautiful.
Well, if you're talking about, like, an action, at least that had, like, that cool gunshot move that Deadshot does at the beginning of the movie.
This movie didn't really offer anything we haven't seen.
We haven't seen a lot, and better and a lot less silly. Like,
and
seriously,
I'm just talking on a cinematic scale. I'm not comparing this to the other superhero films, well, to a certain extent,
any
but
movie.
Yeah.
Like, the villain, it has this entire thing where it's like, you and I are not so different after all. Join the dark side. Let the anger flow through you. Like, are you fucking serious? Really? And it is the current year after all. We have an entire, like, over 100 years of cinema before this.
Also, the villain literally says, I will destroy you. And I'm just watching it going like...
And he still has the stupid mustache, even when he's in, like, his Greek clothes. He still has the stupid mustache. Oh my god. There's not enough reason to hate the movie. Like, not the jokes are goofy. The parts where it's dramatic and serious and supposed to, like, be a contemporary superhero film are goofy. I know that one of the influences was the Christopher Reeve movies, but we didn't have to steal the effects from the fourth Superman movie. For real. That shot where baby Diana jumps down, it looks so similar to the shot where Lois Lane is dropped in front of the brick wall. It looks like that. That's embarrassing. It is 2017 after all. Like, come on. Come on.
And let's get it
embarrassing from like a visual perspective.
Let's get into the stunt work because...
Oh, you mean the part where Gal Gadot's not even in this film half the time? You mean that part? You mean the part where Gal Gadot is doing like first day of karate class style moves and nothing else because she's either a stand-in or a CGI figurine? You mean the part where she literally does not have any stage combat with another human being in the whole movie? You mean that part? Yeah, let's talk about that.
I will say that this movie is going to get a lot of brutal criticism once people have the pause button on their Blu-ray players.
Maybe. But I do think it's a little ridiculous that people have been saying, no, Gal Gadot can do fighting. She was in the Israeli army like every other Israeli citizen. And like nobody saw this like shitty ass spy flick she was in years and years ago where she's fighting exactly the same way she's fighting in this movie.
I have a challenge for you. Find one Wonder Woman workout video. And I'm not talking about the thing that she did on Conan O'Brien because Conan O'Brien was doing all the workout stuff in that video.
Well, she is clearly flexible, but she's not exactly capable, like, at all. But you're right, and this isn't, like, unreasonable. This is just literally holding her to the exact same standards as every other superhero action star.
I mean, Scarlett Johansson was able to perform a lot of crazy-ass moves in the Avengers, in Iron Man, and Ghost in the Shell. Like, even though we have criticized Scarlett Johansson, we're not a fan of her. Like, she
can at least do the work.
Yeah, she's doing the stunt work. And yes, I understand that there at least is some claim that Gal Gadot was pregnant during some of the stuff, which, okay, that's admirable that, like, she still was, like, performing and all that kind of stuff. But, like, what was she performing? Because, like,
Well, she claims that she was working out 6 hours a day for months on end and watching her diet and trying to put on weight, supposedly. But the only thing she can say that she did in her workouts was lift weights. And the only proof we have that she lifts weights at all is one photo where she's holding 2-pound weights and has a smaller bicep than I do.
Yeah.
And I'm basically like a female neckbeard. Like, I don't work out at all. Like, I'm a little pathetic. Well,
how long did she work out? Like,
she said 6 hours a day.
6 hours a day for how long?
I don't know, a few months.
Okay.
But clearly we're just upset that her boobs aren't big enough. Clearly.
Oh, I could give two shits.
Nobody gives a shit what her boob size is. But she did have an interview like ages ago where she came on and literally the first thing out of her mouth was, nerds don't like me because my boobs aren't big. And it's like, well, that's some rejecting. Okay. You want to, include a citation somewhere? I mean, I'm sure that is a thing that happened, but like, you literally can't do your job. You can't act. You can't do the action. You're pretty enough in a city full of beautiful women. You literally can't do your job. What are you here for?
Well, I think a lot of this comes from, usually, this is a trend that's been around since the 70s. You get an actor that's from another country. They're still learning to understand English. They're still working the language out. And that takes time. English is a very difficult language. But what I see with her performance is she's trying so hard to get those English words right that it's affecting her performance.
I just see a brick wall. She had no chemistry with anybody. She had no personality. It was a lot. And I said this as soon as I saw the first trailer, and this was too accurate for my taste. It's a lot of Vogue, pose, play dress up.
Yeah, look at how many.
A lot of that.
Look at how many of the fight scenes have close-ups on her face. Do they do that with the other superhero movies?
There are some close-ups of her face where she clearly was not fighting before they did that close-up. They put inserts of her face throughout it, so you kind of think it's her, but like all of the action is so awkwardly edited with like this weird lack of physics. Like, There's so many CGI characters that have no weight to them at all. It's like, dude, Zack Snyder, did physics kill your parents when you were little? What the fuck? Why do you hate physics? Why do you hate science? Why do you hate consistency? Like, most of this movie felt way too much like that one fucking shot that I hate from Sucker Punch, where, like, the evil, sexually abusive stepdad shoots the sister, but it hits a pipe and it hits a light, and then the girl just falls over, even though, like, the gunshot was nowhere near her at all. It was, like, half of a movie like that.
Yeah, and I blame a lot of this on the producers, this
has the Snyder's fingerprints all over it.
Well, I know that they're dealing with a family tragedy. I am just criticizing the artwork that they put on board.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, I'm hoping to God that this is a Patty Jenkins movie the same way that Planet of the Apes was a Tim Burton movie, in, like, not really at all, because that's a little too depressing for me to take.
I don't know, man. Ang Lee tried to make a Hulk movie, and that didn't work. But at least that movie was trying to do something different. Like, exactly. There are some interesting here's the thing about artistic choices in that movie.
Like, Ang Lee's Hulk not only has, like, some interesting artistic choices, and at least had, like, a different vision, and that's part of why it didn't work, but that's part of what made it, like, Ang Lee's Hulk. It's also very character-centered. Whereas in this movie, Wonder Woman is the second shittiest character. 'Cause she's boring. And dumb. And has no chemistry. And really it's just up her own butt with her own self-righteousness, and that's supposed to be okay.
Also, I thought it was weird that when she came to the human world, there was, like, little to no interaction with other women in the movie.
Right, it's just, like, the suffragette for a little tiny bit, and that was it.
And it's like, we're talking about Wonder Woman here. Like, I understand that you want to do, like, this war thing, but, like, she has no contact with the war nurses, even though that you see that they're present in the film. There's no interaction. Yeah.
Which is a little ridiculous, since she was a war nurse. And knew other war nurses. The actual Diana Prince was a war nurse with whom she swapped identities, so she could go be with her fiancé in South America. I mean, I knew they weren't going to incorporate that, because part of that story is that Wonder Woman and the actual Diana Prince also look identical. Like, for all the things that I can't believe flew in this movie, I knew that definitely wasn't going to fly. That's kind of shitty. That would never work. But, like, you would think there might be, like, a cameo or something.
But it's weird. If that can't fly, why did the movie think that the whole sculpture thing couldn't fly either?
Like, sculpting her out of clay?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I wanted to see that. I don't understand why everyone thought that was funny. Because, like, Zack Snyder just, like... Because this was a Zack Snyder thing, I swear to God.
He was one of the writers. Like, if you look at the... And it's weird
Patty
because...
Jenkins was not. The script was written by 3 men.
Yeah, and it's so weird because Patty Jenkins is a writer-director. That's, like, what she does. So seeing her direct something that isn't a writer-director piece, you can clearly see that her fingerprints are missing from a lot of it.
Yeah, especially, like, when it comes to the way that the characters interacted with each other. Because, you know, you watch Monster, and you look at the way that they interact with each other, and you're like, that's so sweet! But that's so fucked up and creepy! Why do I like this? But, oh, it's just so nice. Oh, it's so fucked up! Oh my god, this is so sad! Why? You know, she fucks with you, and it's amazing. And this movie was just like, you could have had the Seinfeld noise on in the background half the time. Like, really. But, okay, here's the thing with we have to see fucking Bruce Wayne have his parents murdered in front of his face again. But we're just gonna, like, gloss over Wonder Woman's entire backstory. Oh yeah, no, we already know that. No, we don't. She only has, like, 4 iterations. We have never seen this in a live-action movie. Can we just have the scene where Hippolyta sculpts her from clay and Zeus gives her life? Because you and everyone else in the theater were laughing hysterically at that moment, and I was just like that girl in that 50 Shades of Grey movie who was like, no, you guys, it's in the book. It's not funny. No, it's in the book.
Now, one sequence that I did actually think was genuinely good was the storytelling sequence.
The painting was really good. It's not quite as good as other movies that have done it, like Harry Potter or Krampus, but like,
or surprisingly Pan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Pan is a shitty movie, but the storytelling sequence in that movie is genuinely really amazing.
That's one of those like amazing shorts in a shitty long film. Yeah. Or even like the Sandman one in Spider-Man. Okay, anyway, it's not nearly as good as any of those, but it's also clearly much better than anything in the rest of the movie. Especially in terms of, like, actually having a personality or a sense of style. Or, like, having any fucking idea what you want. God damn it. I just want to take, like, everybody making this movie and be like, what do you want? Why did you do this? Did you do this?
A lot of issues came in with the production design of the film.
Oh my god. This is a period piece that had no idea what the fuck a period piece is. It's like, we're gonna put the Amazons in vinyl and shiny cosplay fabric from Joanna's fabric. And everything is gonna be, like, really not period at all. We're not gonna bother with, like, styles or fabrics. We're gonna put her in, like, this blue toga dress that not only is not the dress that she stole, which is, like, again, Dick Snyder, what the fuck did continuity ever do to you? But also totally does not match anything that would ever happen in the 1920s. Oh, and also, all of the Amazons have perfect contemporary winged eyeliner. And also, drugstore glitter eye makeup that I literally have in my bathroom closet right now. I literally have the, like, cream bronze eyeshadow that she's wearing in most of this movie. Like, you can tell in the close-up at the end of the movie, she has it, like, all over her eye. I literally own that product. It's, like, worth nothing. And it's also not Amazonian at all, and also it's just, like, kind of embarrassing to see.
But let's focus on her lack of armpit hair, you guys, because
not the Chris Hemsworth or the high heels.
Because Chris Hemsworth totally has armpit hair as Thor.
Oh yeah, definitely. But like, yeah, the makeup is fine. The high heels were a problem in Jurassic World, even though that was explicitly supposed to be a part of her overcoming society's pressures about her as a woman. No, that is misogynistic, but Wonder Woman and all of the Amazons wearing heels because the costume designer wants to, like, focus on their femininity totally.
Now,
what?
To be fair, like, if you didn't notice that she had heels, I kind of understand, but it's an elevated...
it's a wedge.
Yeah, it's a wedge for the boot that she had.
But also all of the Amazons wear heels.
Yeah, it's kind of like platforms. You know, in terms...
But, like, when you have that arch in your foot, that's still painful. Even if you have a more solid base under it. That shit, this Barbie foot thing, is painful. It definitely is not conducive to helping you fight like an Amazon.
Yeah, and Amazons would be against that. Yeah, it doesn't fit the... So, I
know this all sounds nitpicky, but there's so much of this film that's like... Do you guys even know how to make a movie? Like, every element of it was such a mess. And the movie literally only got worse the longer it went on. Like, all the best parts were at the beginning and all the worst parts were at the end. And it just goes on, like, this downward slope. Where it's like, oh my god. DCU, what the fuck are you doing? Why?
Well, it just felt so sloppy. Like, everything about it. And, like, all the fight scenes... There was no dramatic weight to any fight scene in the movie.
That's because there was no physical weight.
But, like, when characters died and, like, you have Wonder Woman crying and all this kind of stuff, like,
No!
Well, and it's like... It's like the dramatic elements are supposed to come from the script, but you're not seeing it in the performances. Now, I will say I really, really liked Robin Wright Penn for the brief time that she was in the movie, because, quite frankly, she had the physicality that Gal Gadot wasn't giving.
Who was she?
She was the head Amazonian warrior, the one
Hippolyta.
that was... Yeah.
Wait, was it Hippolyta or was it the aunt who was training her?
the aunt who was training her.
Got it.
Robin Wright was awesome.
The move with the 3 arrows and the shield, that was pretty cool.
I was really disappointed that her character like went off so early, because it would have been kind of cool to see like Diana Prince.
She's this movie's Bryan Cranston.
Yeah. But it would have been really cool to see the Amazons come and help them fight the war, which is what you see in the comics a lot. But no, Wonder Woman is just by herself, and they totally take out the German army in one fell swoop.
Also, as long as we're comparing this movie to Disney princess movies, because this movie was already pretty hard on the she's a princess thing, Mulan is way better than this movie. Mulan as a character is a better role model for your children. So for all the, the little kids want to see her in theaters, Mulan is a better role model. She accepts responsibility better. She has a better sense of morality. She is more intelligent, because even though, like, Wonder Woman is all book smart, you never see her use, like, strategy at any point, or even think about things a little too hard sometimes. She's just like Johnny Five in Short Circuit. What? Why? But why? That's not what I think. I'm gonna do what I think. No, I know that I'm totally stepping in on a completely different society that I'm not a part of and know nothing about. I'm just going to ignore all the advice of the people who actually live here and need my help, ignore everything they have to say, and just do what I think is right, because that's what I think is right, because I didn't think about this too hard or do any research or studying or ask any questions.
I'm going to go a step further and compare this to Captain America, the First Avenger, because good God, does this movie have a lot of parallels to that movie.
Yeah, but that was also clearly a better movie.
Also, Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman do not have as good a chemistry as Captain America and Agent Carter, which
also,
are
Agent Carter is a much better female character than literally anybody in Wonder Woman. And also, I heard that her TV show was really awesome. I wanted to see it, but I couldn't figure out a way to see it. And then by the time it came on Netflix, I was watching too many other things. I need to see that if I can. I heard it was really awesome. But she's one of the only females in a comic book movie that I actually like. And any of them. Any canon, any universe, superhero, side chick, anything. She's like one of the only ones I actually like, because she actually has a personality. Can you possibly fathom treating a woman like she's a human being?
Well, to me, I personally think that you shouldn't write any of your characters off in a film or any property. Like, if you're writing characters off as unimportant, you should just cut them all together.
Mm-hmm. But also, Mulan single-handedly saves the entire country of China twice in a row in much more intelligent ways, and also in much more interesting and, like, cinematically dynamic ways than Wonder Woman does in the entire fucking movie. Wonder Woman does the windshield wiper moves with her wrists and holds her shield up and jumps on things, and that saves Germany and England. Totes. We as the adult-going movie public totally take this shit seriously. This is fine art.
And also, given the context of what we see, did she just, like, stand back while World War II happened?
Exactly. It's like, oh, I run around contemporary Paris, France as Wonder Woman? Why?
Oh, because she has to fit into Batman v Superman, that's why.
But why?
And it was also weird because it's like, if you're going to have some of this stuff take place in modern times, why not have a little bit of Justice League-y stuff? I mean, I really didn't care.
Has Bruce
but
Wayne's
like,
email? This is a thing we're seriously talking about in comic book movies.
Also, she's the slowest typer ever, and you would think that many years in the human realm, in man's realm, you would have figured out how to type better than that.
I am really disappointed that Diana Prince is not a character in this universe, because what I always thought was the most interesting thing about Wonder Woman was actually Diana Prince. Diana Prince does a lot of shit by herself. And there was even a whole storyline where Wonder Woman doesn't have superpowers anymore because the Amazons had to move into a different dimension and they're her source of power. So they tried to take her with them, but she gave it all away. She gave up her immortality, all of her powers, her outfit, her title as Wonder Woman completely to stay on Earth and help humanity however she can. You know, a big part of her storyline, like, what makes Wonder Woman really fascinating is that as a superhero, she is as strong, and she is as fast, and she's as brainless and stupid as any other male superhero, but also that as Diana Prince, she does a lot of stuff to help people in her civilian body. And we don't know who Diana Prince is. We know who Clark Kent is. We know who Bruce Wayne is. We know who Peter Parker is. But we don't really know who Diana Prince is, because so far all we really know is that she's Selena Kyle. But I want to see fucking Diana Prince, because in this day and age, and especially as an American citizen who looks at our lack of democracy, and really, before you dispute me on that, we have a president who literally did not even win a majority vote. We do not have a democracy anymore. The voters have no power. The people have no power. In this sort of political climate, I want to see a character who, without her superpowers, makes a difference. That's inspiring. That's beautiful. I want to see that. And that doesn't exist, and it will never exist, because there is no Diana Prince, and because Wonder Woman is as thoughtless and irrational as any male superhero, so fuck it.
Hopefully the success of this will launch a cartoon series and possibly other Wonder Woman movies, because I would really like to see that, because clearly the DC animated stuff is not fucking shit up. Well, they did fuck a little bit up with The Killing Joke, but...
They also did a lot of really good things that they are underrated for in that movie. One of those things was not the animation, but...
Yeah, they need to stop rushing that stuff.
They need to stop shipping their animation overseas and giving them 6 months to animate an entire hour-and-a-half long movie. The reason why I say stop shipping that shit overseas is because you should have animators invested in what they're animating, not people who are... Well, I don't want to disparage people who are working for a paycheck. Everybody works for a paycheck, but it's hurting their artistic integrity.
Yeah, and the overall films are hurting because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is 4 for 4 for me.
Yeah, it's definitely 4-0. Really, I mean, this is clearly the best DCU movie because most of its shittiness factor is at least goofily bad, which
at
is
least
better
this has
than
a coherent
boringly
plot.
Bad. I wouldn't quite go that far.
I mean, compared to Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, like there is like a
lot of people are really drawn towards the answer to everything is peace and love. You guys, dude, if that shit didn't fly in Interstellar, why is it flying here?
Because some people are arguing that is a factor of Wonder Woman's character.
I don't disagree with that, but like in this movie, okay, part of Wonder Woman's character is that she sees the best in humanity. She doesn't ignore its dark sides, and she doesn't turn a blind eye to crime or systemic injustice. But she believes in the best in people and in society. In this movie, Steve Trevor does. And then she's just like, I loved him, so I'll continue his legacy, sure. Most of the reason why I'm saying that is also because Steve Trevor is the only one of the two who can actually act and make me think that he gives a shit about anything. So yeah, the effects are bad, writing's bad, characters are bad, the execution is embarrassingly goofy, batshit terrible.
And we are some of the only people that seem to be calling it out. This is a minority opinion.
So clearly we're wrong. It's okay. We know.
Yeah. I'm expecting some rather angry comments, which is understandable. But I feel that we've made our points.
Yeah. I mean, it is the best one, but by the best one, I would say Man of Steel is about a 10. Batman v Superman's about an 11. Suicide Squad's probably hovering around like a 16? And then Wonder Woman is about a 25, and 15% of that is from Chris Pine. 25 is still an F. Just because it's not as bad of an F as other DCU movies doesn't mean that it's good.
I'd give the movie a C-, but I'm a little bit more forgiving. I was entertained enough by some of the smaller stuff that I wasn't watching the movie purely hating everything that I was watching.
Yeah, but also, like you said, you're not necessarily a Wonder Woman fan.
That is true.
I had kind of high hopes for this. I mean, I know when I saw the trailer, I said I hated it. When Gal Gadot was cast, I said I hated it. Every time I saw the trailers, I said I hated it. But partly when some of this Rotten Tomatoes stuff came out, even though I knew better because Rotten Tomatoes lies all the time, not really. It's just Rotten Tomatoes is not really good indicator of if a movie is good or bad. The other thing, too, is I really wanted to believe in Patty Jenkins. But considering that she didn't really...
You still can believe in Patty Jenkins. This is a studio piece. I
believe that she might save it. That's what I'm saying. I believed she might save it. And I don't think she did. And I'm hoping it's not her fault because... I know this sounds weird to say, but all she did was direct it. I know this sounds weird to say, but there are so many people who wrote it and produced it and did like...
Yeah, usually when you have that many hands...
It's not a director project, it's a producer project. So... And we've seen this a lot, not just in the DCU, we've seen this in a lot of franchises. We've seen this in Star Wars, we've seen this in our Amerikaiju verse that needs to die.
In Star Wars, it worked out for the better, I think.
Yeah, it did, because the screenwriter called most of the shots, apparently. But I also now have no idea if I like Gareth Edwards or not, because all Gareth Edwards has done that I've seen, because I haven't seen... Is it Monster? What's his other one?
Monsters.
It is Monsters, okay. I haven't seen Monsters, so all I've seen is Godzilla, which he had very little creative control over, and I hate, and Rogue One, which he had very little creative control over, and I like. So I have no idea what his voice is as a director at all.
Yeah, because I actually became a little bit more forgiving of Gareth Edwards when I found out what he wanted to do with Godzilla 2014 and what the studios told him he had to do.
Because they were underpaying him and tying his hands behind his back. They basically just take these people who don't have enough exposure and or money and say, you're doing it for the exposure bucks. But you just gotta be our little bitch boy and do whatever we tell you to do. You can be a bitch boy and be a female.
Yeah, hopefully, though, this gives Patty Jenkins enough money to do her own thing, because I Am Superman, starring Ryan Gosling. I have high hopes for that movie.
Me too.
Even though that movie's title is indicative of it being a superhero movie, it isn't a superhero movie. I'm not really sure what it's about. I'm kind of hoping it's Superman and the Nazis. I know they're making a documentary and a film about that.
Wait. You mean Superman and the KKK?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
They're not too dissimilar. I see how you can get confused.
Especially nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was just a Freudian slip. I think current politics has done that to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, we also did just see a movie about Nazis. Well, they weren't Nazis because it was World War One.
Yeah, they were still... weren't they still...
I don't think so, because they literally never used the term Nazi in the entire movie.
Right.
And they used no Nazi imagery, and I'm pretty sure there weren't Nazis before
They
Hitler.
did use Nazi imagery because that cross is still part of the Nazi imagery as well.
I mean, yeah, but it also predates the Nazi imagery. I'm talking about, like, swastikas. That wasn't anywhere.
Right.
Because I'm pretty sure that shit didn't happen until after Hitler became the ruler of Germany, which was between the two world wars. So, I am not a history buff, and this movie did nothing to educate me in the way of history at all, because this is one of the worst period pieces I've seen in a long time.
Also, I was really disappointed that there were no Zeppelins in the movie, because that,
Why would there be? To be fair, they probably didn't have it in their budget. What, you think the budget went into production design? Oh, silly fool. They couldn't even put money into their special effects.
But they had Zeppelins in World War I, right?
Yeah, they did, but I'm talking about making a movie now.
Also, it would have made sense because Zeppelins were used as spy planes.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve Trevor is a spy, so...
But we only see him fly somebody else's plane.
Yeah. For like a second, practically.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cool seeing him fly and then drop the bomb.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I kind of wish that we had seen a little bit more trench stuff, because like World War I is known for its trenches, and we get like a minute.
Yeah, but they did a lot to cut action out for Gal Gadot. Like, for example, one of the points of the story is like, this changes depending on the iteration, but essentially the idea goes at the point in the film where Hippolyta is like, no, Wonder Woman, you can't do this thing. The thing varies from story to story, but it's basically, no, Diana, you can't do this thing. I forbid it. And then they hold a tournament to find out who can do this thing. And in the original story, it's see who can take Steve Trevor to America. And, which clearly was not America in this case anyway. They hold a tournament. Diana wears a mask, and let her do what she wants. And that was one thing I appreciated. Hippolyta's character was actually pretty on point. There is a lot of, you're not allowed to do anything. That's actually pretty accurate to her. But in this story, Diana just steals her shit and does what she wants and doesn't give a fuck. And Hippolyta's like, it says so in the script that you're going to do that, so I accept it.
Yeah. Another thing that I wanted to mention, and this is something that we both kind of looked at each other, was so she just carries a sword and shield like just out in the middle and nobody like notices. Like there isn't like people thinking that it's a prop or it's a joke or anything. It's like
on the street nobody notices. Even like people who are going through the revolving door with her don't even notice. But then when they're at the party, people notice and they say nothing about it and do nothing about it.
Yeah, it seems that like given the time period and everything like that, people might think it's for a play or, something like that. But like...
Well, it's a little hysterical that they had the nerve to make fun of Clark Kent's glasses. Which, to be fair, that's not really that nervy, but they had the nerve to do that and still expect that shit to fly. How is that, like, any more sophisticated than Clark Kent's fucking glasses? Like, come on.
I think that was the joke.
Yes, they made a joke about Clark Kent's glasses, but then they played the sword and the shield like that could actually be a thing that really happened.
So yeah, overall, I thought the movie was okay, not great. I think it's a step up for the DCU, but that's definitely not saying much. It's definitely not anywhere close to the animated movie or any of the animated movies that DC's come out with lately. I think some of the reasons why people are giving this such glowing reviews does actually stem from people needing there to be a good female-oriented superhero film.
Not just that, but also they've been trying to make a Wonder Woman movie seriously, like actually make an effort to make the damn thing for over 10 years now.
Let's see, at one point they had Lucy Lawless as Wonder Woman.
Well, at one point they had Megan Fox as Wonder Woman, and then Megan Fox had to turn around and be like, no, Wonder Woman's lame, fuck the invisible plane, fuck the lasso of truth, she just sucks. And that pretty much shut down any possibility for the Wonder Woman happening for a long time. Which is weird,
because, like, why would you choose Megan Fox as Wonder Woman? I mean, granted, like, okay, she kind of looks like Wonder Woman, like, if you're like, oh, black-haired female superhero.
She was also the big thing at the time, and when it comes to the stupid Scarlett Johansson style rhetoric of, we need a famous hot sexy lady to sell our movie. Megan Fox was the hot sexy lady of that time. She was basically the female version of, or the Hollywood version of Paris Hilton. Yeah, and Angelina Jolie was that woman at one point too, and she was also... To be fair, I think that Gal Gadot did do a better job than either Megan Fox or Robin from How I Met Your Mother, which is who Joss Whedon wanted to cast, because of course he did.
I think Joss Whedon is best as a screenwriter, but there are some other avenues that he has some struggles with. Not always, because clearly there are some bad films and stuff that he has written, but I think he really has to have passion.
Alien 4. I had to cough to make my voice clear to make the snide comment.
Yeah, I was referring to that, but I couldn't remember if it was Alien 3
4.
or 4. Okay. Well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when the women, plural, are the worst part of your feminist movie, you fucked up. But also, that's exactly what I expected from Hollywood's most rampant misogynist, Zack Snyder.
Yeah, I really wish that Patty Jenkins was allowed to have more creative control over this movie, because clearly she didn't.
Yeah, considering that she was only the director and nothing else, that leads me to believe that she didn't have much that she was able to do. Especially considering how much of this movie was made in post.
So much of this movie was made in post.
And at that point, traditionally, not always, but traditionally, the director and the editor and the director and pretty much everyone involved in post have nothing to do with each other. That usually falls on the producer, who is also the writer.
With better film projects, everybody kind of works together, but
yeah.
Oftentimes, especially with these kind of films,
the DCU is not a better film project.
Yeah. Part of me is just like, okay, I know Chris Nolan is doing his own thing, but can we just get that universe back? Can we just or
move on to anybody else? Well, I'm not going to say to Joss Whedon's DCU, really
do a Flashpoint thing. Have this whole thing just be this crazy alternate universe where things are awry and we have to set it straight.
Although it would be taken less seriously than the dimension where all of the superheroes are pirates.
Or medieval knights, or etc., etc.
Yeah.
So, I know we went on for some time about this. I know we
probably as long as the movie, but the bump. Not really. The movie was too fucking long to be that fucking bad.
It was
and to be that fucking shallow and weak sauce, and not here's something. At least I don't like this about these movies, but at least I get. A lot of the Nolan movies were trying to talk about the current political climate, and the current political climate at the time. And Zack Snyder has attempted to do that with his movies in really, 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 really marginal success. None, pretty much. Really badly. To the point where it seems dude, do you even know what happens in the... No, you don't. You're rich. Okay, never mind. But this movie didn't even attempt anything. I guess they were it's World War I. It doesn't have to mean anything.
I mean, we got a couple...
Is The Power of Love, which is a badass song, but a stupid principle.
We got a couple glimpses on how war could be awful, but
only barely. It was just like Watchmen, where when you read the comic and you see the devastation, and then you watch the movie and you're where's the devastation? You kind of see some hands through the dust, and that's all you see. Really, that scene is fucking sliding, where you see nothing because dust is everywhere.
Well, I wasn't even going to talk about that scene. I was going to talk about when Wonder Woman first sees some of the effects of the war, when she's headed towards there, and you see the guys being strolled back, and then you see some of the people on the ground, the children crying and stuff like that. That could have been emphasized a little bit more.
That's so candy coated.
It is.
And I said, that scene in the dust, when you look at that scene in Mulan, where the Huns have completely destroyed an entire village, including Shang's father, that hits hard. That's really rough. And you see a lot more devastation in that children's Disney princess cartoon than in this sophisticated movie for adults.
Well, I remember...
Or at least teenagers.
I remember personally for me, I think it was the second season of Downton Abbey. Was it the second or the third where they were in World War I?
I think that's the third. No, that's the second.
The second season was kind of hard for me just because the political climate was getting more intense with North Korea and South Korea. You know, we had just witnessed a ship being sunk, and it was some pretty crazy stuff. And then I watched Downton Abbey season 2, and as somebody who was in the military at the time, it was something hard to watch. But, you know, I enjoyed it, and I thought it was really powerful. And this movie didn't get anywhere near that level.
Yeah. Like, not even a little bit, like, not even worth comparing the two.
And honestly, I thought Captain America, the first Avenger, did a better job at, like, portraying wars. Granted, it's a different war now, but...
Also, the villain in a red-headed rubber mask was significantly more sophisticated and believable than Ares, the god of war.
But let's talk about the other villain. Why did you pick Stryker, the villain of X-Men Origins Wolverine, to be... Now, granted, I know that he was in the other X-Men movies too. You know, as the same fucking character. But he sticks out in my head the most in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Why would you get him to be the villain? Especially when people are already criticizing your movies enough.
I didn't see that movie for obvious reasons.
It's pretty bad, but I will say the opening sequence is genuinely amazing. And would have made a great movie in and of itself. So yeah, I know that we had opinions that seemed to differ from pretty much the rest of the internet. So let us know what you think.
Even if you like the movie for everything else, those visual effects, come on.
Yeah, just comparing the visual effects to like anything out right now.
Not even out right now.
Hell,
anything out in the past 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, TV shows are killing it right now. I mean, it didn't look anything... Like, this could have been a TV movie. Like, I don't know if it was the theater that we were in. It seemed like the cameramen didn't know how to, like, shoot and not have so much grain in the night scenes. Mm. Or whether... Even the look of the film just felt dated, 2004.
Yeah. In the interest of full disclosure, I did not actually watch the entire film. I looked away for most of the macking scene. I don't like shit that's supposed to turn women on. I don't understand how I'm supposed to watch a movie and, like, feel aroused by two people macking on each other. Like, it's not a porno or anything. It's just weird. Also, again, comparing it to Monster, like, when you compare the making out outside the roller rink compared to the making out in some undisclosed location in this movie, indoors somewhere, like, dude.
All right, so it's already been declared that they're going to make a sequel to this movie.
Because of course they are. They probably even have a spin-off show based on the sequel that they haven't made yet.
There are probably 5 movies in the making that they don't know what they're doing with. They just have movies planned, and then they're just going to get...
And they just throw them in whatever order they happen to think might possibly work.
They need to stop rushing these movies.
Oh, I know we were going to do Aquaman and the Flash, but actually we're going to hold off and we're going to do Batgirl and Nightwing. And also we're going to do Shazam, but we're also going to do a Shazam spin-off series, even though we don't have a director, a script, or a cast for Shazam yet. We're totally going to do a spin-off series, and we're working on that right now. What are you doing?
All I can think is the CEOs behind this are like Al Pacino and Scarface. I don't know if you've ever seen the scene in the movie, but he has like this giant mountain of cocaine, and he just like sticks his head in and just sniffs it. And that amount of cocaine would kill anybody for obvious reasons, but like somehow he's able to take it. That's what I think they're doing. They're just like, we got to get all this done right now to make all the Marvel money.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I mean, it does kind of kill me that as much as I was like, they don't need to be Marvel, they need to be different from Marvel.
Why do
the movie where they Marveled it up is their most critically successful?
Yeah. Also, like, DC is known for having good villains. Marvel has Magneto. I'm tired.
We've had, like, no decent villains in any of the DCU movies.
I mean...
no. Who's a decent villain? Lex Luthor? Doomsday?
Okay.
Ares?
Okay. Michael Shannon was decent.
It's just because he's Michael Shannon, and even still, he was only decent.
All right. Thanks for listening.